Prapin, so I've actually enabled the guest mode, so our
Okay.
players don't even need to register if they just want to play as a guest.
Okay, so yeah, as Keith said, you actually don't need to register. We've actually enabled something called guest login. So you can just type your name. You don't need to enter your email. So that's one option with a web, or if you've got your mobile phone with you now, you can also download the Gametize app and then enter the search code in-lab Gametize in the search bar like that. And then when you press enter, you'll go into the same game just on the Gametize app. Yeah. So I encourage you to do that now so that
We
during
should be the game.
sorry. Yeah, let me just show the game now actually. So this is how the game currently looks. You can see that actually Keith and I were able to change it on the go while we're actually having this session. And if I were to go in, I can actually see that some people have actually completed some of the first sessions already. So I think there's Bernie. I think we know Bernie actually, do we? From SMU, if I'm correct. Or anyway, so yeah, you can see the activity feed. People are starting to do that. So I encourage you to do that as well so that because during the session itself, we'll be looking throughout the game to answer your questions and see what you're answering from there.
And just to add on to Prapin's point, we actually literally came up with this idea half an hour ago,
Yes.
right? And I do not know why it took us so long to think about using our own solution to try to gamify this event, but just half an hour ago we started creating this game. So it looks very raw, but it gives you a glimpse of how easy and how fast this solution is. And I created some rewards in the reward store, right? Please go and take a look. Prapin, we could actually show what we have.
You show that as well.
Right. One of them is quite impractical. The other one is more practical. So visit the Gametize office, redemption in 2021. That's not how our office looks like. We have a we have a particular challenge reward there. It says it's a chance to win the Gametize tea, right? So it's a chance. It will not guarantee you a tea if you redeem it with 200 points. So back to you, Prapin. So I think we just want to get this out of the way. I'm going to put the link again on the chat room. I think somebody requested for that. And I'm going to just suggest that you should download the Gametize app if possible. So actually you could do it using your mobile phone, right? Depending on how you are assessing it. To download the Gametize app, right? You could search for Gametize on the App Store. Right? Search for Gametize on App Store or Play Store. And there's a lot of demo games in the Gametize app. We strongly recommend you to take a quick look at it. And the game code is InLab.
Yeah,
InLab Gametize. Game code. Okay, there you go. So we are going to be periodically sharing these links again because there will be new people coming in. Now, of course, taking part in this game is purely optional, right? It will not impair your learning in this particular workshop, but we strongly recommend that so that you're able to get inspired by a lot of different ideas, and you can contribute to our user count as well. We have the next question. Will we get a copy of the slides after the workshop? Yes, I think we will be sending out. Are we going to share the slides and the video recording?
The video would be just highlights of the session.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the full session.
Okay. So Marcus, if you follow us throughout this whole session, right? Please, we will be sharing a special email address that you have to email us through, right? And you have to give us all your permission to allow us to contact you, to send you marketing materials. But the gist of it is we will be collecting addresses to send out slides and also workshops details later on. Okay, I just want to also disclose that this session will be recorded, right? And we will be putting up on the Gametize Academy. And in the Gametize Academy, we will be actually sharing a lot of other resources. So whatever participation that happens, right, in your name, please be aware of that. If you do not feel comfortable being with this being recorded, please do let us know right now, right? We might have to find other ways to resolve this. So back to Prapim, right? I'll let you take over.
All right. Okay, so I think that most of you are, I've seen a few of the names from the previous workshop, some new faces as well. So I think I'll just recap and introduce ourselves. So there's myself, Prapim, and then Keith here today. Okay, I could let Keith introduce himself, but I can introduce myself first. So I'm a part of the Gametize Academy, so it means that I help to teach people how to use Gametize and gamification using our technology. So my background is I actually came on board initially as a designer, but I had some experience with e-learning and creating instructional materials. So that's kind of where my background is. And I've been at Gametize for 3 years now, and then I think that the technology has really evolved, and we're always still learning as well. So during the workshop, while you're using the platform, there's any feedback on it, feel free to let us know, whether it's in the Q&A in the game itself or just type in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you, Prapim. My name is Keith, and I'm one of the 3 co-founders in Gametize. And we started this company 10 years back. We started off creating games for sports predictions for a lot of other different reasons, but eventually the HR market found us, and we were able to use our solution as a way to engage learning, engage in employee motivations. And we're still finding a lot of other new use cases. Could you unpin and spotlight? Did I pin myself by accident?
Oh, okay. No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I actually did. So sorry. Yeah, I will just
Okay.
take it away.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah. So where was I? Yeah, we started off with doing a lot of other things, but they're all related to games. And along the way, we found that the HR market is a very dependable market for us, right? And we are still used for many different ways. So today, I know that we might have audiences from all different backgrounds, right? I would like to get everyone to, where possible, please talk about what you do, right? And what you hope to achieve out of today, right? You could put it on the Gametize game that we created for you, right? You get earn points for that, right? Or you could put it on the chat room here, right? You could do both, right? That would be best. So let us know what you're looking to use Gametize for, whether or not it's for L&D, for employee engagement. We are seeing a surge of use cases in virtual campaigns. And we have use cases in recruitment, right? There are individuals or companies that use us to do to make talent acquisition and assessment process much more fun and interactive. And finally, right, if you could talk about what you want to achieve other than creating a game, right? Just let us know. So that's a little bit about me, right? I'm a self-trained game designer, and today, right, we are still looking for more use cases, right? So Gametize is something that I've been working on my entire life, and it's kind of like for games, right? So we are still excited to see different use cases. So if there are any use cases that I shared that I have not covered, please let us know. Example of use cases could be you are looking to use Gametize for maybe creating a charity drive, right? Or you're looking to use Gametize to engage your students or your learners over the Zoom, right? So we have a lot of different types of use cases, ranging from compliance to even creating games for food races, enjoying the experience of trying different recipes and cook-offs as well. So all right, so back to you, Prapim.
All right, so I'll just share the agenda today so that you know what we're in for the next 2 hours. So the first thing we're going to do, just for the sake of new participants that weren't here in the last 2 weeks session, we're going to recap the 5D framework. That's kind of the framework we use when we create a game at the Gametize team. And I'll introduce you as well to the Gametize platform, how to do things such as creating content. So not just challenges such as the Q&A content that you see in the game that we're sharing today, but also things such as how to create rewards, achievements, other parts of the platform, launching the game, and then afterwards, once you've already launched the game, what can you do later on with the game, such as managing it and so on. So we'll be doing progress checks every 20 minutes or so just to check everybody is up to speed. But if you're really not sure, you're lost in something, please feel free to message in the chat. So that way we know, whether we're supposed to slow down or we can even speed up if everyone's up to speed as well. And then we'll designate the last 10 minutes for the Q&A, just for you to ask any questions to us. Okay, so before we start, I think that it's best that everyone gets a free trial. So I'll just show you how to do that now, actually. So you can see that I can head on to this URL, gametize.com/pricing. So I'll put that in the chat as well now, actually. Okay. So Keith, actually, could you help to put that in the chat?
Oh, okay. Yes, boss.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, I think if you could just follow along for this part while so that by the time we get platform training started, everyone's at the same page. So you can see there's the start free trial page. So don't worry about any of those pricings. And then just create a blank project, or actually, if you'd like, you can select the project template. That one has all the different templates for things such as L&D, use cases, employee engagement. It's just that you won't get the experience of creating it from scratch, but it's also good for you if you're needing inspiration. So I'll just click on the templates very quickly to see the type of contents that we've got ready for you to go for. So we even have things such as like a dinner and dance event, virtual events, voting game sessions. So these are things that people have previously used Gametize for. But if you find out these suit your use cases, you can actually just create the blank project. I'll leave it to you which one you want to do. And then just start the free trial from here. Okay, so you can start the free trial straight away. So actually, some of you might be prompted to sign up for an account. So the reason that I've bypassed that is because I already have an account. So if you don't have an account yet, just sign up by email, and then you'll get the activation code, and then you can start it from there. So I think that once you start the free trial, you'll end up in this page. And then you'll have a message about the trial. You can actually just ignore that for now. Okay, so that's the page that we're aiming to be on before we start the platform training. So would it be all right if I would give everyone 1 minute now to do that? All right, so I'll just check the chat just to make sure that everyone is. Okay, so Marcus asked, do you want to use Gametize on the browser or mobile? So in this case,
so Marcus, and for everyone else, right? The app is just how a player would envision, right? So there are two interfaces that we are covering today. One is we will show you how a player view looks like, and the other one is show you how the administrative dashboard looks like. Actually, probably I think it might be a good idea for us to showcase a little bit how our player interface will look like. And remind me again, right? When are we covering the 5D?
We'll be covering it next, actually.
Okay, next. Okay, but we can showcase a little bit how a player view looks like. So there are two main player interfaces. What you see right now on the screen is what we call the web mobile, right? Or even web desktop. So if Prapin were to resize the screen, right, you will be able to see that it is mobile responsive. Yep, that's what you see on the mobile screen. Yeah, so you just have to resize the screen, right? And if Prapin were to make it full screen again, right, that's what you see in your laptop if you are on a widescreen format. Now, if you have already downloaded the Gametize app, just keep in mind the Gametize app is just to use just purely for how a player experience will look like. So we will get you to run through. We'd like to get you to run through how the player experience looks like first, right? And then later on, when you get to creating the game on its own, please use a web mobile browser. Please use a web browser. It doesn't need to be mobile, right? Please use a web browser, right? So, of course, preferably it should be on a laptop or on a tablet but it is entirely possible to do it from a mobile phone, right? If you have a web browser using Safari or Chrome, it is possible. Just that if you might want to have the screen real estate in order to enjoy the convenience of using the platform. So Prapin, could you show how the dashboard looks like on the last tab? Yeah, this is how the dashboard looks like. So yes, the variety of features. Now to get to the dashboard, right, you have to go to gametize.com and register as an administrator. But for now, right, Prapin will run through with you what a player will look like, will see, and then later on what the administrator will see.
Okay.
So I hope that clarifies.
So I guess we can do that quickly now before we move on to the 5D framework actually. So as you can see here, okay, so maybe I can show the player side, which is the one that you see here. You can see how many people have completed the number of challenges, tell us about yourself, for example. And then if I want to actually break down who has completed, I can actually go into the activity feed. So this is from the player side, actually. So I'm sure that if you all go into the link right now, you can actually see exactly what I'm seeing as well. And then you can see people are able to show more completions. So this is just one type of challenge, the standard challenge. You can see it's from the blue icon. There's many more types of challenges that will show more throughout the platform, such as a photo challenge where you're able to take photos, such as we like to use it, for example, for a selfie challenge. Take a selfie of yourself, upload for points. And then I'll just show you how this looks on the admin side as well. Let me just duplicate this first so that I don't lose that.
Okay, Prapin, sorry to interrupt. Let's keep the admin view away for now, just for a quick second. Yeah, let's just focus on sharing what are the features on gametize.com. Sorry, what are the features on Gametize as a player that you can see, and we can even use the demo game or whatever white label games we have as well.
Okay, so I'll just show this one quickly first. So if you are on mobile version, you'll see, sorry, not mobile, the web version, you'll see there's the button here, in which case you can take a look at the activity feed. So our activity feed is something like I would like to say Instagram feed, but just for this particular game, just to show kind of like who has completed what did they say as well. And then I can actually choose to vote. So the vote button here is the heart icon. So you can see that I voted for Nick, and then commented. So we usually like to see a lot of people doing that for when they're voting for other people's photos or videos. Okay, so another one that we have as well is the leaderboard. So you can see that as you progress through the game, you're actually earning points. So I myself have 0 because I've not actually done anything. And then you can see the breakdown of who has completed it. So if it's a very long campaign, then actually the all time versus this month versus today is very useful to see like who has been active throughout, the most recent month or even all today. But of course, for today, this is going to be the same. But usually I like to check back to see even some of our longest running games are still very active. Okay, so there's also rewards. So the rewards is based on your balance of points. So if I were to earn points, okay, I'll just actually do something now just to show you. Okay, tell us about yourself. Okay, so you can actually see that I've earned an achievement as well. So I can configure this completely all by myself in the admin dashboard. And I got this just for making my first submission, i.e. like I've earned just even 1 point. I can get a badge. And I can check the badge here and see what I've earned. And you can see the breakdown of my activity, but I myself have only done one challenge. So now I have some points. I can actually try to see whether I can redeem anything, but you can see that since I have 0, yeah, I don't have enough to redeem any projects, any rewards. So I have no redemption history. So this is a reward source. Some people actually use Gametize for recognition and rewards. So meaning that they assign points to players and then the players can actually redeem. It's kind of like a loyalty reward store. So that's another use case as well that you're able to use Gametize for. Yeah, and then bookmarks. So let's say that bookmarks, I would say the use case would be something more like if you have a lot of content on the platform. So for example, some of clients use it for L&D, and then they have a lot of questions and kind of learning resources that they may post on the Gametize platform. In which case I can bookmark which one of them is the most relevant to me. So for example, you can see I've just bookmarked that. And then if I were to go to bookmarks, you can see that all of it is ready for me at a glance. I don't have to go through the entire platform just to find what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's essentially the.
Probably would it be okay for me to get a screen sharing, right?
Yeah.
I just want to do a little bit of an overview of Gametize again for the benefit of the audience who might be new to the platform, right? So I think we might have missed that part out. I just want to do a very quick 5 minutes run through. So let me just do that. So hello everyone. So I hope you can see the screen, right? And this is a media kit that that we have in Gametize, right? And I just want to share this media kit real quick to just give you an overview again of the different types of solutions and features that we have. And one of the things that we focus a lot on in Gametize is making sure that it is extremely simple to use. And the keyword over here is not just for L&D, but it is a gamification platform for community engagement and advocacy. So how can we do that, right? So in Gametize, right, these are the 4 main overviews and pillars of what we have, right? And these are the 4 main features that Praping will be running through. So we have a solution that allows you to create different interactive challenges. And some of the challenges that you can see on the dashboard later, right, includes all of these types of challenges. So as a premium trial plan, you will be able to see all of them over here, except the external challenge, right? That one is meant for our enterprise customer. But you'll be able to see that you can create challenges out of photos, out of QR codes, out of passcodes, and even photo challenges and standard challenges. Now let me go back to this particular screen here. The solution actually allows you to configure a lot of different types of constant instant feedback that's automated to your players. Now, the concept of constant instant feedback, we covered that in the last presentation, right? I wonder if anyone was in that session last time around, right? Please give a shout out if you are, right? We'd like to know whether if you remember what are the kind of what's the kind of chemical compound that one will experience when they feel like they get motivated. It starts with D, if anyone remember. So just type it out on the screen.
Yeah, who's the first one that?
That's right.
We got the gold.
Right, Marcus, were you in the last session, Marcus? Okay. So dopamine is exactly what we are trying to artificially create over here. And how do we create dopamine, right? The easiest way to create dopamine is always have an automated response to a player who has completed a challenge, right? So you can see that a lot in games like Pokemon Go. If you remember Pokemon Go, in the first few minutes of downloading the game and registering an account, you are immediately able to see 3 monsters around you. I think we call them Pokemons, right? And these Pokemons, right, are so easy to catch. The moment you um, you try to throw a ball at the Pokemon, right, which is so easy to do, you immediately level up, and they immediately give you additional points as well. So that actually creates a kind of excitement that makes you want to do more. The good news is that you can actually do that on Gametize, right? You can give them points, you can give them achievement badges. I think you saw that just now in Propin's example. And you can tell them which part of the progress bar they are at, right? So these are elements of dopamine inducers that you can actually create on Gametize and any other gamification platform. You'll see that kind of a game mechanic in LinkedIn, right? They tell you that your profile is almost completed, right? That is actually a dopamine inducer, right? You'll see that in quizzes that tells you like you got your answers correct or you got your answers wrong. And the third element of Gametize is that we have this competition and social element. So later on, right, you will be able to see that in a competition, you're able to create leaderboards, not just for individuals, but also for teams. Does anyone remember how many percentage of players are actually competitive in a research that was done by Richard Butter across hundreds and thousands of players? How many percentage of players are truly competitive, right?
Yeah.
Please type your answer in the chat room.
We got one already.
Okay.
All right.
So the answer is actually 1%, right? So actually a lot of us think that games are actually very competitive, right? Gamers are actually very competitive. Propin, would you please help me type out Richard Butter's name? Yeah. So actually 80% of gamers are socializers. A lot of people play games because they want to socialize, because they want to be part of a community. So that's why we have things like newsfeed. We have elements like allowing you to vote and comment on each other's answer. And team competitions is a way to actually enable socializing as well. All right, last but not least, we have a reward store. Again, we will be covering that later on. So this will give you a very good overview of what we have in Gametize and which Prapin will cover in her practical sessions. And but I think one of the biggest advantage of using a solution like Gametize or even other gamification platforms that's off the shelf is the ability for you to do a lot of testing within the first day or so, right? So you need to use a solution like that in order to do your testing. And with that, I'll hand the mic over to Prapin. But I just do keep in mind, right? I think we have a lot of different participants here, right? Some are definitely more familiar with our platform. Some are definitely more impatient than the rest, right? They will be able to move forward. This is the first time we're doing this over a webinar. So we are also trying to find ways, in a way, this is a test for us, right? So we are trying to try our best to try to cater to everyone's speed. If you have any questions, please just type out in the chat room. I will be Prapin's teaching assistant and to try to assist you on this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prapin.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so yeah, as Keith said, we'll try our best to ensure that everyone's able to follow along today. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually just recap the 5D framework very quickly, because I know that a lot of you have actually attended our webinar before, but some people here are also new. So I'll just go through it here. So the reason I'm also sharing this is because I'm going to create a use case during my demo that follows the 5D framework. Okay, so yeah, first one is always to define your problem that you want to solve. So in this case, the example here is talent acquisition, which, so for example, it's costly and resource intensive. And then second one is to determine your goals. So out of the problem that you've identified, what's the goal that you want to achieve? In this case, using gamification as part of the solution. So for example, the problem statement and the goals determined are you want to standardize the assessment process and cut down the time needed to review candidates by 50%. All right, then decide your target behaviors. So this is the part you think of from the point of view of your target audience, what you want them to feel and do while they're playing the game. So of course, you know, the general idea is you want them to feel that dopamine rush, but what do they need to do to feel that dopamine rush? Okay, so for Marcus and the rest that weren't sure who Richard Bartle is, this part is relevant. Describe and profile your players. So this is the part that you would make a list of your target group. Think more about the persona of who is accessing your game and why they want to play your game. So for example, this is the one that only 1% of people on average are the killers. So most people tend to actually be socializers, 80%, as you remembered, and then achievers and explorers are 10% each. And this is the part that we're going to be focusing on today, which is the design your gamification strategy. So there's a lot of parts that go into a gamification strategy. Of course, it's like there's the whole design process from things such as what's the visual style going to be? Is it going to be more cute, more cartoonish, or do you want it to be something corporate, a little more mature? So some clients of ours really go into it. Like we have had a client recently where they used a kind of knight and squire medieval storyline to assess their candidates, and then depending on how well they did, the highest was like a knight and then the lowest is the squire. So I thought that that was quite clever of them to be able to gamify their assessment process using that kind of narrative. So that also ties in with the game storyline here. There's also the tone of voice. So the tone of voice means that what's the kind of language that you want people to, your game to have, whether it's something a bit more playful, even using lingo. So some of our clients, I think they like to even use like Singlish if they feel that, okay, I know that a lot of people are going to be local and that's going to be appropriate for my target audience because I'm kind of going for that more informal tone. And the interactions to use as well, meaning that are there going to be a lot of photo challenges where I want people to take photos of themselves and their friends, or is it going to be more like very simple knowledge checks? So this is the part that you always come up with something first, and then you can iterate it as you create the game, and then just test it out to see how well it does. Okay, so before we get started on the practical, I just want to show you the templates as well.
Sorry,
so if you
can I have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, would you be able to go back to slide 13, I think?
Okay, so I'll just
the 4 player types. Could you I know you've gone through this before, like would it be possible for you to like share an example of like what kind of games are like suitable for each? So I mean, so I have a better idea. For example, you were saying Pokemon Go, so I guess they are more like explorers. Then like people who play Animal Crossing, I guess, are like more socializers. So like achievers or killers, like what sort of games would like would I take reference from? Yeah.
All right. So
hey,
for
Marcus, sorry,
okay.
Prabhim, I think we will not be able to cover so much on the theories and concepts. I've suggested to Marcus that we will instead send him the recording for session 1.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
For today's session, because time is quite limited, we only have 1.5 hours left for the practical platform. So Marcus, I will come back to you eventually on this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I was on gametize.com/templates. I'll just open this now for you guys to take a look at as well. So as I said, there are several different use cases depending on, even just for fun, there's the food race, as Keith has mentioned. So feel free to take a look and see what you think works for you. And as if you find nothing there works for you, you're also welcome to create the game from scratch. Okay, so I will delve straight in to the game actually before I go through the rest of the slides here. So just for the benefit of some people who joined after I showed you how to get a free trial, I'll just show you again. Go to gametize.com/pricing and then just start the free trial here. Okay, so I'll leave it up to you whether you want to create a blank project or select from the project template that I showed just now. But I'll create the blank project just for today's demo. Okay, so I create a blank project, start my free trial. Okay, so this is where I start building the game already. I can start to select the project image. So if you already have all your own images, you can actually just upload one yourself. But we also have the image library, which is something that we built ourselves and are constantly adding on to. Or I personally like to use the Pixabay image library, which is our integration with Pixabay. So these are always like the first 40 images of the day. But if I want to search for something specifically, I'll just put the keyword here. So I guess today I'll just do something on a food race. Okay, so. And then I can put in the project description as well. So play.
Prapim, would you be able to zoom in?
Right. Yep. So play this game. All right, so there's the project code as well. So if you were here at the beginning of the webinar, you saw that we asked you to go into our webinar game, app.gametize.com/game/in-lab webinar. In-lab Gametize. So that's a way for you to tell people how to easily access your game. So I'll say Prapim. So it's essentially like once I launch the game, I can tell you, oh, access my game using the game code Prapim Food. And then I can actually select my privacy as well. So I'll leave it as public, meaning that as soon as I launch this, everybody in the webinar can straight away see it. But if it's private, it means that I can only I have to give you access for you to be able to view it. So this is good, especially if you have sensitive contents or things that you don't really want everybody who can to just randomly access. So good for L&D projects or corporate games essentially. But I'll leave this as public for now, and I can even allow guests log in if I don't mind people not signing up for an account. Okay, is everybody all right? Okay, so I'll just continue then. Okay, so you can see now I can start to add topics as well. So what topics are our way to segregate contents in my game? So for example, in the case of the Amazing Food Race, maybe I want to divide up the structure of my game by, let's say one example is food in the east of Singapore. So I can choose from, so even then you can see we've got a topic templates as well. So you can see the common use cases that you might have for what type of topics you can select. I will just go back to creating a standard one. So there's this personality quiz topic. That one is kind of like similar to, if you've done the MBTI project, personality assessments. So you can build your own. One example I've seen on Gametize is like, what's your financial profile? And then the answers would be like risk averse or very willing to take risks. So that's one example of what the personality quiz topic is like.
Hey, Prapim, you really have to zoom in a bit more. Yeah, just a lot more. Okay, that would be good.
All right.
Okay, yeah. That's a bit too much.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you can see that everything's quite similar now. It's not similar, sorry. It's the same concept where I'm starting to select images. So I'll just, I guess, use like cafe for now. And then since I live in the East, I actually know mostly about food in the East. But perhaps you could give me more recommendations on food in other parts of Singapore so I can add on to this game. So then there's a topic description as well. So give a bit of a description. All right, so you can even see that there's topic privacy. So that's just another layer of granularity for if you want to really limit access to who can access this topic. So one example would be, let's say I want to limit this so that only people who live in the East are able to access this. But of course, I have to manually find out who lives in the East and then add them to this if I make it a private project. we don't do like geolocation. So everyone this project and then create. All right, so I think this is where the interesting part of Gametize comes in, where I can start to manage adding content straight into my topic, food in the East. So there's flashcards and then there's challenges. So flashcards are really just non-interactive pieces of information. So usually it's just like, FAQs, informational things that you want to tell people, but they don't need to acknowledge it, or they don't need to get points from it, in which case you can use a flashcard for that particular use case. But I'll create a challenge. So you can see this is the one that Keith showed just now. So even then we have challenge templates, but I'll just run through each of the challenges first. So the one that you saw in the in-lab game that we showed in the beginning actually consisted purely of standard challenges. So that's something where we ask a question and then you're able to do a free text entry. So for example, do you have a question for us? Ask us here. So photo challenges, people have to upload a photo or image and then they'll get points for that. Video as well is for videos, so I will probably actually create this straight away. But if you have any of the challenges you want me to walk through with you later, just let me know, type in the chat, and then I can demo that during today's workshop. Okay, so I'm going to create a video challenge. And then what it's going to be is, okay, so I know this is not possible now, but let's say take a video of yourself in the East. Okay, and let us know where the cafe is. All right, so a lot of people use the video challenge for things such as, for example, take a video of your elevator pitch. Take a video of yourself describing this particular product. Take a video of yourself walking to work or exercising with your friends. So it's an engagement tool similar to, Instagram, I suppose, where you get people to upload like boomerangs. You can assign how many points to award per completion. So if someone uploads, they would get 10 points by default. I'm going to be really generous with this and say 2,000. And then some particular challenges have vote settings. So if you really want people to get points for voting, then you can also put it here. So if someone were to come into the platform, see a video that someone else has uploaded and think it's really good, and they vote, that person would get 2,001 points. Okay, so you also have bonus points. There's actually a lot of settings. I think if I were to go through them all one by one, it's actually quite a lot. So in some of the cases, I do encourage you to also try this in your own time and test it out to see what some of the settings do. But I'll go through the basic ones today that are enough to create a very kind of raw game on Gametize. Okay, so scheduling and frequency settings. So how often users may complete this challenge. So this is something that you can ask people to do, for example, anytime. So if I were to do anytime, once someone's completed it, they can actually do it immediately afterwards. But let's say that I can do every 24 hours. So after they've completed a video of themselves eating at a cafe in the East, they can do a new cafe the next day.
Probably just a gentle reminder to zoom in a little bit. And,
sorry, I keep forgetting.
Just a little bit more, yeah. And maybe you might have to slow down just a little bit because this is a really new feature for most of our audience. I think we have one question about what is the time limit?
Time limit. Okay.
To the video, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. So actually, my question was, because you keep uploading videos, right? Is there a storage space? Is it like you have 50 gigs, then after that, people cannot upload, that sort of thing?
So we actually limit it based on the time. So if you are a premium plan customer currently, there's no limit to the capacity. This is a loophole in our platform for now, right? You have very, very sharp eyes, Marcus.
Thank you.
But for now, you can upload to 60 seconds, unlimited number of videos. Please do not abuse this function and crash our
Yes,
server yet.
yeah, yeah. So you can. Okay, I'll just go in the opposite level of Keith and say that you can try it, and then we'll probably know what the limit is at that point to put a cap on it. Okay, so yeah, there's the frequency settings, and then you can also do something like a maximum completions. This is applicable to every single challenge. So let's say if I were to set it to 100. So this is actually something like a first to the finish line, meaning that if I only want 100 people to complete this, then I can put this here. Then it's quite exclusive, like kind of a flash deal, I would say. And then after 100 completions, the 101st person coming in is unable to complete this anymore because they were too slow. Yeah. And then I can also even schedule it. So let's say that if I wanted this to go live in 1 week's time, I can actually schedule it to publish on 1st of June. Okay. So that's kind of good for, I think, the use case being if you have a lot of stuff you want to schedule, but you don't really want to go in manually and then remember to make it go live, then you can actually use this timing feature. Just keep in mind that we actually use GMT plus 0, so you'll have to do the math manually.
Yeah, that's the one of the constraints for now. So moving forward, we will be enabling different time zones to be selected.
Yep. All right. So I'll just remove that so that I can show this straight away once I publish it. And I think this is the part that Marcus was talking about as well. Is there a time limit you can set to the videos? So the default is 10 seconds. Of course, if you're asking them to do an elevator pitch, you might want to set it to, let's say, 30 seconds. So it's not like a hyper elevator pitch. And then there's also the message to display after a user completes the challenge. So usually I like to keep this generic for now. So something like well done. So the reason being that a lot of people have brought up kind of like, how do I know that they're really going to upload a video of them doing the thing that I asked them to do? And you don't necessarily know that. So that's why I would do this first. And then I'll show you kind of the ways that you can moderate or kind of mitigate, people not doing the intended behaviors that you want them to do. Okay, so there's also something called private completions. So what that one is, if I were to tick it, is if I ask them to do something that I don't necessarily want other players to see. So for example, take a video of yourself, assessing your capabilities, but I don't want everyone to see the player talking about, how well they're doing because it might be sensitive, and then the player might not want everyone else to be able to see it. So I actually just tick that, and then what it will do is that on the activity feed, it'll just show that, for example, Prepim completed this challenge, but everyone's not able to see the video that I actually uploaded. Okay, so I can also send notifications if I were to want to notify players. You can see right now it's not ticked because I don't have any players in my game. And I can even lock this challenge as well if I have more content in my game. So I'll actually start to create more content as I go, and then you'll see more of these features unlocked while we're doing today's walkthrough. Okay, so lastly, you can embed something. So websites, you can also do YouTube videos or other videos as long as it ends in the MP4 formats or Vimeo, or you can even do PDF documents or presentations. So very useful for if you have a particular resource that you'd like people to kind of look at and study before or during them playing this particular challenge. So I'll actually just embed a random YouTube video just to show you. So maybe cafes in the East. So you can see cafe, and then, so you can even embed like a video that's actually a live stream. I've actually done that before. So that's actually quite useful.
Yeah, maybe just I drop in and do a check on everybody. How's everybody doing?
Yep. How's everyone doing?
Good. Just type in a good in the chat so that we know you're still following us.
Yep. And then if you're lost, just let us know so that I
If it's too
can
fast,
go
you can
through a
let us
different
know. Yeah.
demo as well.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. Thank you, Maria, for the thank you, Fiona, Daphne, Naidu. Right. Good, good, good. Sally, all right. Thanks. Okay, so we oh, très bien. We have French.
okay.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I guess we can continue.
All
Thank
right,
you.
great to know.
All right.
Okay, so before I think I keep creating more content, let's just see how this looks right now as a player. So always remember to publish your topic. I always remind users again and again because every single time.
Propin, gentle reminder, please do zoom in.
Okay, sorry. I think I've got to thank you for reminding me. All right, so publish your topic and then go ahead to do that. Then it's live. I'll go back to the project manager. Okay, so even then you have to publish your project. A lot of people forget that it's there's a two-step process to this. So they sometimes are a bit panicked, like, how come I can't see my project? Okay, so now you can actually start to preview and to share your project to people. So I'm actually going to share this with you guys now live. So you can see that there's different ways for me to share my amazing food race game. I can share it straight on just as a link, or I can give it to you guys by email, Facebook, and all these other channels. And you can see the project code there is Prepim Food. And I can even embed it as well. So I will actually just give you the project code, the teaser. You can see I've copied it to the clipboard, and I am just going to paste that in the chat now, actually. So you can see my very unfinished game right now. And if you want, you can even try to upload a video to it. So you'll see that as I'm creating the game on, and you can actually keep refreshing, and it will the changes will go live straight away. Okay, so actually I'm going to create one more challenge for you guys. So perhaps maybe I can get someone to suggest to me which challenge you want me to try and create. So maybe first person that types in the chat.
Oh, we got one.
Okay. Which one?
Could we turn on the
Prediction.
annotation? Could we turn on the annotation so
Yeah.
people could, our audience could draw on the
Okay.
screen?
Okay, let me see.
Let me just,
Yeah, we should be able to draw. Everybody, do you see this view options either on the top of your screen or at the bottom? There's a drop down. If you click on it, are you able to annotate? Choose the annotate function. Yeah.
Okay, we have seen. To the
all right.
ad reaction.
So yeah, not video challenge because I've just done that. So I'll just choose from a bunch of the ones that people are ticking or circling.
Okay, so to annotate, you just have to go to the view options and you could just tap on annotate. Okay, I'm trying my hands on this as well.
Okay, it looks like there's a consensus.
Wow. Okay.
I actually want to see the quiz, but nobody is choosing that.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's the power of influence.
In the chat.
That wasn't me, by the way.
Oh,
But prediction
okay.
challenge could be a good one to.
That's a
go
lot of
next.
stars.
Then we talk about quiz after that.
Okay, so it looks like there's a prediction and quiz. So I should, let me think. All right, I think I'll go through prediction first. The reason being that once I show you prediction, you're going to find the quiz one really easy to do, actually, like to create. Because prediction one's one of the, honestly, it's a little bit underutilized, and I hope that some of you are able to find some useful purpose for it during your gamification.
Actually, Propin, may I suggest we create the challenges on the in-lab Gametize game,
okay.
So our audience could even assess the game right away from there.
All right, so that's actually a great idea. So I'm going to create it straight on the in-lab game that you guys are accessing now. Oh, Let me see if I remember the name. Okay, so you can see that we have a lot of projects that we've created at Gametize.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's a bit of a struggle to. Yeah.
And can I suggest the prediction to be, will today's session overrun? Yes
Oh
or no?
no. Oh gosh. Okay, so you can see here, this is actually the admin side of what the game is that you're playing. I'll go through even like, who the admin analytics and all that later on, but I will create this first. Okay, so prediction challenge is pretty straightforward in the sense that it asks you to make a prediction, and then I, as the admin, can set the outcome once the result is clear to me. So, for example, as Keith has suggested, will today's session overrun? Okay, so I'm just going to do like a clock, I suppose, in the end, which is quite appropriate. And then all right, so there's at least 2 prediction options. So I think one example that my colleague actually did was she asked what color shirt is Li Xianlong going to wear during the what do you call it, the announcement when he was making his press conference. And then yeah, so she put like different shades of pink, but then we didn't expect him to actually wear blue, so we didn't put that option. Yeah, so yeah, yes, it will. Okay, I'm just going to leave 2 options. So if I wanted to add more, I can actually just add, and then I can just delete it off. But I think that I'll just leave it here. And then bonus points award if the prediction comes true. So I'll just standardize this for both. But if you wanted to set one as a different number of points as the other, you can actually do that as well. You can even add the image here. So let's say,
And actually, to make this more fun, right, you could even have different bonus points for different options, right? Kind of like the odds. And you could even share out the odds on the description itself, right? You get 100 points if this section overruns and you get it correct, right? Yep, that's how you should do it, right? And over here, maybe 50 points because most sessions don't overrun, right?
yeah.
Is that right, Tilly?
Well, it depends on
Yeah.
on how many questions we have, or
Yeah.
yeah. But this is all within our hands, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I can add an it depends option, but I know everyone would probably choose that, so that's why I'm leaving that out. All right, so points award per completion is 0. So meaning that right now by default, just because I choose yes or no, I'll get 0, and I'll only get 100 or 50 depending on whether my prediction comes true. So if my prediction doesn't come true at all, I'll just be left with 0. So if you want to give them point just for at least like trying, you can leave this to 20 points as well. And then, okay, so I can go through the bonus points here now. So there's 2 settings here: number of players who receive bonus points for completing this challenge. So that's kind of just a way to reward players who complete this first, let's say the first 100 players will receive an extra 10 points. Okay, so that's just kind of to reward people who are the first 100 players to actually complete this challenge. Okay, so you can see that for how often this can be completed, this can only be completed once. This one's locked because it's a prediction challenge. So I think you have to, think carefully about your answer. And then, so you can see the rest here are things that I've covered in the video challenge. So kind of, you can see that once you start understanding each of the settings, it becomes easier to create contents on the platform. Okay, so let's hope your prediction. Okay, so now this is my chance to test this. So if you guys have not signed up via guest login, signed up by email, you will actually get an email in your inbox shortly to say like admins added a new content to the game. So it's kind of a good way to notify players that there's new content constantly being added. A lot of our admins do this just to show, like, for weekly campaigns where they're really adding new content every single day. And push notifications is for if you're on the Gametize app. So if you're on the Gametize app now using this game, you'll actually see that you get a notification on your phone for this as well. Okay, so I can lock this as well. Okay, I won't lock this just in case, but for example, if I want to make it that people cannot access this unless they completed another challenge. So for example, tell us about yourself, then I can leave this as locked. So it's a good way to, you know, maybe make it sequential, make them complete it in a certain order. And then embed content, embed a map. Okay, so lastly for the embed a map, you can select a location. So I think I've selected this before, and then you can see there will be a map. So it's not geo, like based on where you are. It's just kind of like, you know, for example, if it were my example were to be, this is a cafe in the east, I want to tell you more about it, then I would put the location here. So it's just more like a map just to show you a certain location. Okay, so you can see now that if you go back to the game, you can see the preview here that I have already actually published this straight away. And I can actually myself as go to the player side, and then I can also create, cast my vote. You can see there's the image image there, and then there's the title and the description. Okay, so actually it looks like someone else has already completed this.
Yeah, I've already placed my bet that it will overrun.
Okay, so you can see how fast this, you know, launching a game can be. And if your players are very fast, then they can actually complete things before you even test it, just like what happened just now. Okay, so
so by the end of today's session, we will actually come back to show you how you could decide the outcome. So if this has overrun, right, we will actually come back to the dashboard and indicate the session, indicate this option to be true, and that way points will be awarded from then onwards. Okay, Praveen, could you show the newsfeed a little bit as well?
Okay.
Since we're at this screen.
All right, I am actually going to cast my vote before I do that though. So there's the flavor text. This one's automated by the platform. This is what you yourself as the admin wrote. Okay, so now you can see, yeah, that's quite concerning. Anyway, so if you want, you can continue to refresh, and you can see that, like, you know, it's quite live on the platform. So you can see the news feed as well on the activity here. So you can see, let's see, the activity and who has completed. Okay, so you can see this is quite a live game. So you know, there's, and then I can even see who is leading the leaderboard right now. Selena with 70 points. So the leaderboard is quite good. For example, if you want to award the top 10 players at the end of a game, then you can always consult this and then reward them accordingly. All right, so
I guess we could create our second. Could we go for repeatable quiz? We can go for repeatable quiz.
All right, so I think most of you are probably getting the gist of you know, how our platform works. So I'm going to create a quiz challenge. So you know, the classic MCQ, but I'm going to make it multiple attempts. So I think most of you know single attempt, meaning that once I get it wrong or right, I can't try again. I'm locked into that answer forever. But let's say multiple attempts, meaning I can try several times. So what quiz question shall I ask today?
What is the history of InLab? How old is InLab today? Actually, we don't have the answer to that.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as well.
And what's the answer to
InLab? Has been around for coming to 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
5 years. Okay, we can.
So this is 3 points for everybody then.
Yeah. We are having our 5th anniversary in October this year, so keep a lookout for that.
All right, so 5 years, and I'm just going to put a bunch of other options just for you guys to, if anyone wants to answer wrongly for some reason. Okay. You can see that it's quite easy to add the options, and then I can delete them as well. But and you can also assign which one is the right answer straight away. Okay, so actually I'll just start choosing random images, but you can see that it's quite easy to select the images that you want. Usually I keep like a folder of all of the game's images I want to create for when I do my actual game rollout. Okay, so and then I'm going to do the configuration of points now. So there's points that you can award per completion, which is 10, and then 0 if you get it wrong. So I can also choose to give them points if they answer incorrectly if I want. But for repeatable quiz, this is a little bit tricky because we've had it before where people forgot that. Okay, so one use case is that one team, when they were playing a quiz game, they realized that actually if they answered incorrectly, they would get 5 points each time, right? As opposed to if they answered correctly, then they would get 100 points. So if I answer incorrectly a certain number of times, I can actually exceed the number of points I get correctly. And there was actual stakes, like at the end of the event, they would actually get prizes. So, you know, they started gaming.
Could we give 10 points for the correct answers and 5 points for the wrong answers, so we can show them how it looks like?
Yep. Okay.
And may I add that I think one of our audience, Sheena, asked whether could we have some kind of like speed bonus points for those people who are fast, right? I think you could talk about that using the bonus points, where the first 5 players will get additional points if they answer first as well.
All right. So yeah, that's the bonus points. That's kind of the speed challenge, meaning that the first 5 who are able to answer this first can get, let's say I'm going to be very generous here and put 200 points. So I think 200, if I remember correctly, is enough for you guys to redeem a potential visit to the Gametize office in maybe 2021. Yeah. Okay, so now this is where you can configure more of the scheduling and frequency. So anytime, every week, etc., as you can see. So if you can want to force them to wait an hour if they've answered wrongly, then you can actually just leave it here. But if you're feeling generous, you want them to be able to try again immediately, then you can use anytime. So I'll use anytime since I want you guys to be able to try again immediately. Okay, and then another series of settings that I can do is for a quiz option, there's 2 different feedback screens depending on whether they've answered correctly or not. So in lab is 5. Is here. Okay, and then another thing I can also do is randomize the order of the options in this challenge, meaning that you know, you don't try to players are not relying on like, okay, I've tried the first option is wrong, I'll try the first option again, because it will randomize and shuffle. Okay, so you can also even do private completions for this, so it won't show other players whether players have answered incorrectly or not. So the use case for that might be like you don't want other players to see that someone else has gotten maybe a lot of questions wrong in a row or right at once. Okay, and then I can also notify you guys by email and push notifications. So some of you might get some spam from your inbox from me now. Okay, and then I just checking that it's live, and then I can actually view completion straight away. So I want to see if I click on this now, whether anyone has actually completed. So 2 people have actually completed it already. Yep, so that's how easy it is to be able to actually launch the game and then have it go live on the platform. So if I were to go back to the player side and refresh, you can see that it is straight on my platform. here. So I'm gonna answer. Okay, so if I've shuffled, yeah, you can see the options are being randomized.
Prapin, could you show the mobile responsive view?
Yep. All right, so this is how it looks in mobile. This view is most similar to what our Gametize app will look like. So I'll just show you how it looks from the overall view. So you can see that the buttons, leaderboard, rewards, etc., are on the side, and then I can actually swipe through. And then this is where the contents are.
I think we have some background.
Yeah, I think I hear some background
from one of our audience.
All right, so I'll just answer wrongly just for fun, I guess, just to show you. So I should be able to do this immediately. Yep, you see the feedback. Okay, so this actually shows the right answer. So that might be something that we want to on a platform configure actually, if we don't want to hide.
Hey, Probably we have a very good question from the floor.
Yeah.
What happens to participants who have already answered it, but we needed to change the questions or the options? You could showcase how it looks like on the backend as well.
All right. So for certain challenges, it's quite locked in. While some challenges like video and photos are very easy to edit, even if it's already gone live and one person has already made a completion. But for the case of a quiz challenge, you can see that it's quite locked in actually. So the reason being that it's kind of for fairness, because we want to be fair also to players who've completed the challenges before. So something I can suggest for this is to test it first. Have like a duplicate version somewhere where it will go live as the final version, and then you can test this out with maybe a test audience. So your test audience is just your maybe your friends or family or your focus group, and then they can check, whether hey, you got this answer, you configured it wrongly, then you'll know from there. So it's better, I think, to be able to do that rather than I think you create it and then you realize that you've configured it incorrectly and it's already gone out.
The other way is to actually duplicate the questions. Right, so don't make any changes to the existing questions, right? I would recommend you to duplicate that so that once you duplicate that question, right, you unpublish the previous one. The reason why you want to do that is you do not want your players to be confused. Like, why is my answers like different, or and why is the point system different? So I would recommend you duplicate that, and then you can unpublish or delete the previous challenge. Maria, I hope that answers the question. This is how you can delete or unpublish your content.
Yeah, so you can see here, there is something called duplicate, and then you can just copy it. So that's good for if you have, okay, so you need to select which topic it falls into. So I'll just have it fall into the current topic. And then you can see that I've made a copy, which is currently unpublished. So if I were to publish it, so the first thing I need to do is unpublish the other one, which I don't want it to be live anymore. So you have the option to unpublish or delete. I usually recommend unpublishing instead because it just takes it offline for a while. Deleting means that you've lost all of your user completions and all the information there as well. So before I publish it, yep, I go to edit, and then I can actually change all the answers here again. So let's say like I want to add an extra option and say 20 years. So you can see the rest of the settings are the same. And then I publish again.
So I'd like to take the chance to suggest that we will move on to creating achievement badges after this particular showcasing how do we do this quiz, right? How do we do up this quiz? So achievement badges is how you actually create certain kind of feedback to your players, right? They're based on different rules. But before I get there, I just want to take on Michelle's question. Can you notify users who have completed the error challenge as a new revised challenge? Yes, absolutely. I think our platform is not smart enough to do that, right? So I see a lot of different questions. I think a lot of them coming from Marcus. Very good ideas, by the way, Marcus. A lot of those suggestions requires some formalization. So as an enterprise customer, we do certain varied customizations, right? That will take more time. Off the shelf, we do not have them yet. Sometimes when we do those customizations on price plan, we do bring those features into Gametize.com. So it's on a roadmap. We will share our roadmap very, very transparently. Prapin, do you mind typing out maybe we can find a link for the roadmap? Yeah, I will do that later, don't worry. I think
okay.
you have to carry on with your
All right.
presentation.
Before I guess we move on.
I also want to share another tip. Yeah, I just want to share a very quick tip over here. There a lot of times you might not be creating the contents on your own, right? You might be collaborating with different partners. For example, this particular game was actually done by me and Prapin, right? So of course we are able to, me and Prapin has worked together for what, 3 years now, I think.
Yep.
Right. So we could probably read each other's mind very, very easily. But what happens sometimes is you might want to add so you can add additional administrator, right? You go to project tools, right? So those are the different types of other features that we will be running through. So you can add an administrator. You can also add moderators as well. So this, you can see that I'm one of the administrators over here. Yeah. Prapin, could you take a step back? I also wanted to talk about something else as well. So we have a moderator function where the moderators are unable to make any changes to the content, but they could moderate the completions of players. Now, with question, what have you work on the series? Gametize is not at the level of Google Documents yet, right? There's no way you can see multiple people working on the same document. However, what we do a lot when we work on collaborations is we will often just get each other to we will share notes on the project. So we can do that by creating a private topic or a private flashcard. And this flashcard is not may or may not be published, but it's just a note for each other. So I think Prapin can do a quick one, right? So we actually use the same features that you see right here to share notes about the status about the project, like who is supposed to do what. And as a rule of thumb, I would suggest not to ever delete challenges if you can. You can move them to another topic instead, so you don't end up like interfering in another's work. Yeah.
Okay, so
Sally, yeah,
what I'm going
the game can be built collaboratively. Yeah.
All right, so you can see that Keith was an administrator in the game, in the administrator manager, meaning that he can do exactly the same things as I'm doing right now as an admin, where he's able to make edits. So let's say, for example, I need to tell Keith, like, oops, I forgot to remove the coffee here, and I don't have time to do it myself. Then how do I tell him to do that? I just create a flashcard and then I just let him know. Like, okay, so I can save and then I just need to ensure that it's unpublished. Yeah, so you can see even, yes. Good. Yeah, so you can see that in action already. He's created a flashcard and told me to zoom in, which I forget to do. And then I tell Keith, like, please remove copy from the quiz. And then when he's done with that, he can add a note to that flashcard and then he can say he's done. And that's how we are able to actually just use Gametize directly just for collaborative notes as well. All right, is everyone all right? Maybe you can just type good or okay in the chat.
Still alive.
Okay, so I suppose that the rest of the challenges, I'll just kind of go through them quickly. I won't like show you how to create them because it's quite similar as the ones I showed you before. I know a few people were asking about things like photo challenges. So it's quite similar to the video challenge, except that of course you're uploading a photo instead. So for our game, it might be like upload a photo of yourself and then introduce yourself. That's one good use case. Another one that I wanted to bring to your attention that you might find useful, but it is only available on our mobile apps, is our QR code challenge. So that one, if you create it, it automatically generates a QR code, which users have to scan to be able to receive points. So a good use case that people have used this for is that they've printed it or they've flashed it on a screen, and then people would scan it to show that they've been to this particular venue and scanned it as a proof that they checked in there. That's one good use case for the QR code challenge. All right, so I think that I have covered most of the interaction points on the platform, meaning the challenges. I'll also show things such as the rewards as well. So I think that most of you have seen this on the player side already. For those that maybe have joined a bit later, then you can see it here. And I have 15 points, so I still don't really have enough to really redeem anything, sadly. So I will create a challenge, a reward that I can redeem just to show you how it works now. So I will navigate back here, and you can see in project tools. Okay, so you can actually see that there's so many settings here, which I can't cover all today because it's a lot. But if there's anything in particular that interests you, if we have time later on, I can cover that today with you as well. So just feel free to maybe keep in mind which ones you're interested in learning more about, and then I can demo it to you today. But what I'm going to show you now is the awardables. Okay, so there's achievement badges. That's the one that you saw that I was receiving the badge here for. Yeah, this a particular achievement. And then you can see that there is the reward manager as well. Okay, so you can see that actually no one has redeemed anything yet. But I'm going to create new rewards straight away. So this one here is just going to be maybe a cup of coffee. All right, so you can see, the image is description title. It's quite self-explanatory. Quality of the coffee, not guaranteed. All right, so if you have reward categories, you can add this later on in the platform. It's a way for people to filter down if, for example, your reward store has 500 rewards or a lot, and then you can use this to filter. Reward quantity, you can see if you leave it blank, it means that it's unlimited. But let's say that I only have 100 of these in stock, then I put 100, and then I want to be able to redeem this, so I'm going to put it as 10. Okay, so redemption limit per player, meaning how many players can redeem it. So, how many times one player can redeem it. So 1 time. And then I can also award it by admin only. So that means that if I want it to be available on the reward store, but I don't want anyone to actually be able to click on it, I just want them to see it, to know that it's something that they can get, then I can tick this as well. And then the admin themselves, so for example, myself, I have to redeem it for you. Okay, so it's quite simple. Let's just wait for that to save. And then while I do that, I guess I can also show you the topic manager. Oh, so I think I've been signed up. Yeah, so you can actually, I think I'll just take the chance to show you as well. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. All right, back in. All right, so let's see. Okay, looks like I was logged out.
So I think what happened just now was the server might have gone through a restart.
Yeah.
So a lot of our sessions are, so the team probably has done some deployment We probably forgot to tell them that we are doing a live demo. So apologies to everybody. You might have been logged out. You have to log back in to the platform.
All right, I will just very quickly do that again, just so to show you how it looks like, or actually make it easier on myself. I'm just going to edit one of these instead. So I'm sorry to the two that redeemed it. I'm going to make this a lot cheaper now. Okay, so if you want to edit, it's actually quite easy also. You can just do that, and then straight away you'll see that in the game that the reward is now 10 points instead. Yep. And now I can actually redeem it. Okay, redemption successful. I refresh. So another thing to note is that the balance of points here is not the same as the points you accumulate. It's so some people are quite concerned, like, what if my player earns lots of points, but then they spend it all? Is it going to affect their position on the leaderboard? So it won't. We actually keep track of that to keep that in mind. Yep. And then I can check my redeem reward. So it's a two-step process. So the reason we have that is just to kind of do a verification check. So for example, I've collected this, meaning that I've talked to the Gametize team. I've actually booked my session on where I want to go, when I want to visit the office, and I visited it. So either the Gametize team can collect it on my behalf, or I can myself say that, oh, I've already redeemed this. No further action needs to be taken on this reward. Yep. So that's the rewards. Any questions on that? All right, so if there is no questions, I will also just touch very quickly on the achievements as well. So let me just go back to the project manager. Okay, so you can see most of the tools that I am showing you today can be found in the project tools. So things such as, managing my players. So for example, if you have a private project, you will need to manually add in all of the players that you want to be in your game. Otherwise, if they try to access it and you've forgotten to invite them, it's just going to say that this game is private. Please contact the administrator. Okay, so I'm going to add a badge today as well. So you can see how many people have earned my beginner badge. So I'm going to show you what the rule that I configured for this was. So there's a description for before they earn the badge. So sometimes I like to say exactly what they need to do if I want them to know exactly what they need to do to get the badge. But sometimes you can kind of obfuscate it a little bit. So for example, a lot of badges in video games where it's kind of a mystery badge saying like, keep playing the game to unlock this. So it depends on what you want them to do. Like, do you want them to keep trying to find out, or do you want them to do exactly, earn 1 point, for example? So you can see here that that's exactly my rule. I've asked the platform to give this badge when a player earns at least 1 point in the project. So obviously that means that as long as they've done any challenge where I've made it worth at least 1 point. But if I've made a challenge where it's worth 0 points, then of course they're not going to get this badge. I'll just show you the other types of rules that you can have as well. So for example, I can do ones where posting comments. So I saw a few of you already have posted comments in the game, but now you can actually get a badge for it. So let's say that they need to post at least 10 comments in the project to be able to get this badge. But that means that the people that have earned it previously will still keep the badge. It's just that the rule that they had to earn it is different. So I would try not to change all of these too much, but rather create a new badge completely. Okay, so this is actually most of the main structure of our game. That's when you're actually able to already start to share it with your audience, and then get them to kind of test it before you kind of roll out the actual live version. So how to how do I moderate and see like what's the activity of people playing in the game? So that's something that I can actually show you now. So I'll refresh it first. You can see that I believe this is Keith, right, who has just created the earn bonus points challenge. So you can actually see kind of the work in progress while we're creating this as as two administrators on the same game. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly show you the analytics, just to give an idea of how well this game's doing, who are the most engaged players, who's answering correctly, and then this is also a chance for me to see, if there's anything that I need to address in the game itself. Okay, so you can see, people answered correctly. This is what they wrote for specific ones. So Tina has said that she's used Kahoot before for other gamification, engagement, or learning softwares. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to delete a completion, but because I want to retain most of what you've written, I'm going to delete something that I myself am submitting, which is not really in the spirit of the game. Okay, so this is kind of to also answer the question that some of you may have about how will I know that my player really is actually complying to the instructions here. So we actually have a lot of this where people might just try to get the points and then they just answer like hello, which is not really what we want here. And then I've gotten 10 points for that already. Oh, and then I can go back, refresh. Okay, so you can see this is specifically for how old is in lab, but if I wanted to go back and see mine. Yeah, for PIM. So I can also drill down to the specific person and see what this particular player has actually done. So you can see, all right, so tell us about yourself. For PIM, as myself, I've actually answered this correctly or quite well. So you can see that I can award myself bonus points for this answer and then award point. And I can even edit or delete completion. So this one I can delete and then I can just give the reason why. So it does not meet challenge requirements. Okay, so if I were to refresh, you can actually see as well, I will get a notification. So you can see all of the notifications previously from when I've also created new content, and then I get notified on the platform, both as an email and then as a notification here as well. Okay. Then I can even look more into the analytics of my game. So this is our analytics dashboard. I will go to the overall statistics first, and then I'll kind of just do a very short run through of the type of data points that are available on the platform for you to look at. So you can look at the contents, activities, and also see kind of like who's commented as well. So you can see people have been commenting on the game itself, and I can even moderate from there. So no one's actually commented in here, so I can see it would probably be in the completions. Yep, so that was myself as well. All right, so this is a good way for you to kind of do a debrief, maybe at the end of every week or however often, kind of just to understand how your game is performing, what's going well as what needs improvement. So for example, I can see the completion rate of how many people have completed the topic. So 36 have joined versus 5 who've actually completed everything as well. And then I can drill down more on the player summary and see who are the most engaged players and the most active. And then I can even see who's new as well. So I think that it's quite useful for you to kind of see, especially right now the game that I've launched is quite small. So you'll see like the same numbers and the same players. But once your game reaches a lot of players, this will be even more useful for you. Okay, So is there anything else in the platform that maybe you're interested to learn about?
Probably I did some work on app customizer as well.
Okay.
So you could maybe talk about that. But I wanted to just tell the audience that our reports are downloadable and as a spreadsheet. And while our platform's analytics is a work in progress, but it is entirely possible to do your numbers crunching just by downloading the spreadsheet. That's what a lot of our clients do as well. Pravin, you could talk about the app customizer for our in-lab game.
Right.
I did some customizations over there. So you could
All
run
right,
through that.
so yeah, before I show the admin side, so this is what the app customizer is. I'll show you what it is on the player side first. I'm going to just navigate back to the game and then inspect. So let me just reload just in case. And then, so this will show how it looks on the mobile view. All right, so you can see that there's a significant difference now. Not only has the background changed to our Gametize t-shirts, which are up for grabs in the word store, I hope. I'm not sure if Keith has done that yet, but you can also see that there are two different buttons. If I were to go to Let's Get Started, it goes straight into the first topic. So I don't actually have to navigate here. So what's useful about this particular one is if you want to kind of highlight a certain topic to them and the game has many, many topics, then this one goes straight to the one that they need to look at straight away. And then let's get bonus. That also leads to another topic. So you can actually try these out. I think that Keith has just created this himself, and then you can get these for bonus points as a chance to redeem more things on the reward store. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that on the admin side. So there's something called App Customizer, and then you can see that I can change the background here. So I can upload something. I will leave this, so you can try this yourself. So it's a good way to kind of distinguish the game to be different from all the other games that exist on the Gametize platform, because the default background is this one. But if you add your own background, it kind of gives you a little bit more of the personal branding for your particular project. And then you can see as well that the buttons are here. Oh, okay. So the reason that you're seeing this is you can see that I am in the wrong project. So I'm in the amazing food race. I will actually go back. You can see this is a problem that once you have a lot of projects, you can use the search bar instead to just drill down to that. Let me just go back. All right, so there's the Gametize t-shirt. And then there's the let's get started and let's get bonus, which leads to a particular topic which he has selected. So another thing you can do, for example, is add a button, and you can even select what type of things that you want them to lead to. Okay, I will actually zoom in, remembering that. So you can see there's the stuff that's already on our platform, such as rewards. But let's say that I want them to get linked to a particular URL that is, let's say, .gametize.com. So that's good for if you want to share some links. It's very easy on hand to kind of just pull that straight from the page. So it's quite easy to do that. So if you're on the Gametize app, you can see this also updates immediately on the Gametize app. So it's quite useful there too. So if I were to click button 6, it opens up Gametize in the new page. Yeah, so that's the app customizer. Feel free to play around with that with your game. So just to take note, this is on the premium plan free trial. So I can give some context on the trial. It's 7 days. After 7 days, a lot of these features, such as the app customizer, are going to be reverted down to the free plan. But we'll flash an email at the end of this session to let you write into us if you want to extend the trial to just try out some of the features a little more. All right, so lastly, I think that I will also show something called Team Manager. So what Team Manager is it's a way to kind of organize everybody in the game already into different teams. So let's say I want to create. So for example, it can be, departments or branches or regions. Okay, I'll just do this image. Okay, so just because I've created a team doesn't mean that it's ready yet. I need to first manage the team players. And then I just add more players. I can see that actually a lot of people, it will take all of the people that exist in the game. I'm actually just going to add all the people with the letter A as their name here for Team Awesome. Okay. Then confirm. All right, so you'll see now for these particular players, I'm going to make myself into a team as well. So I'm going to put myself in a team with, hopefully there's somebody else that also has the letter P as their name. All right, so you can see that actually a lot of the game itself is quite easy to manage. And then I can add myself. Okay, so I'll have to scroll down and see if there's anybody with the name P. Unfortunately, no. So I'll just add Mohana and then Riandi, who are the people on top and bottom of me. And then I'll just show you how it looks like. So I think that for the people that are in teams, you can also see on your own if you refresh how this will look. So teams are a good way to also instill some competition in your game without people feeling very pressured because they're not by themselves. They can compete together as a team. So if I were to refresh my game, then I can see that all of the custom buttons, so things such as button 6, which I actually forgot to name, but that was the one that was meant to go to the Gametize website. And then I can also see that I should be in, oh, okay, so I think that what I've done is I've probably forgotten to refresh. Okay, so perhaps they've moved the thing because there usually should be a session where it will tell you which team you're in. Yeah. So sometimes I think that while I'm doing demos, things don't always go as expected. It might be because the team is on our side is doing some deployments. In which case, if this happens to you too, I always encourage to write into support@gametize.com and just let them know because it's possible that something may have happened there. Yeah. So I hope that it will show in the leaderboard. Okay, so there would also usually be, let me check whether I'm in the right game. Yeah, so sometimes I think it's a little bit of, oh, okay, so sometimes it's also user error, i.e. Human error, my error. So I've actually, even though I've created all my games and I've realized that I'm ready to go live, I've published everything, I've done the very silly thing and I've forgotten to enable teams on my side. So in which case, the support team would write back and be like, oh, you've actually forgotten to do this, but no worries, it's back. And then you can see Team Perfect, Team Awesome. So Team Perfect's actually leading. So how it works is that it's an average, not cumulative. So meaning that if you've got 10 people in your team and one person has 100 points, then Team Perfect will have 10 points because it's 100 divided by 10. So the reason we've designed it like that is so that everyone has to do their part to be a team player. So you can see as well, if I were to go to my profile, I'm part of Team Perfect, I can see how many points the other two people in my team have. And then I can even see that Mohana has 0 and then Randy has 10. And then I can also go into other people's profiles and actually look at their completions and their points themselves. And this is already just from the point of view of a player. Okay, so yeah, you can even report them. So the only reason you'd want to report is more likely if someone's gaming or the system, or maybe they have written something inappropriate, then you can actually report them as well as an administrator, as a player, and then the administrator will take care of that for you.
Prabhim, I have a question.
Yep.
So for teams, are we able to send a message to all the members in the team? Because there was a question about players messaging each other. So I'm just thinking more.
Right.
You can do that for the teams as well.
That is
Teams,
perfect.
all right. Okay.
That actually leads me to the inbox, which I think I've forgotten to demo. So you can see here that I've clicked on the inbox, and then there are, okay, so I believe that Keith has himself created a project announcement. So there are messages that you can do between players.
Right.
Right now I have project inquiries. So project inquiries means that I can ask the admin. Let's see what people.
What's the meaning of life? Because we have that question on the Q&A, but the long go.
Okay, maybe
deep. That's very deep.
The admin can choose to answer directly from the admin dashboard themselves. I can also say
yeah, okay. So motivate the team. Okay.
Yeah, or for example, sharing the answers like, oh, I can't get this answer correctly. What do I do? So I can even message someone specifically in the platform. So it will take a list of all of the people that are already in the game, and then I can message them specifically. So I will message Keith, or maybe actually I'll message someone random.
Okay, or they can discuss strategies, right, on how to win the other teams and so on. Okay.
Okay, I would like to take the chance to go through some of the questions that we have in the Q&A section in the Gametize platform, right?
Okay.
So maybe I can do my screen sharing. Just give me a second.
Yeah, I'll just stop my screen sharing.
Yeah, this just a chance for Prabhim to take a quick break. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen here. Let me know if you can't. Right, so good. Okay, so I'm just going to start from the very first question. Yeah, this particular one about meaning of life, I've already give an answer. So these are ways how people could respond to questions, and the speakers would come in, right? It could be a speaker, it could be an administrator, right? And well, I came up with this answer, but the truth is I do not know the meaning of life as well. So okay, and the next question that we have, how old is Gametize? We started off in 2009. So we can work out the number of years. Actually, I kind of lost count how old we are already. So I like to joke that we are more like a grown-up, not so much a startup anymore. How popular is the Gametize platform? I've never heard about it until now. So thank you, in Labs, for giving us the publicity, right? We have about 300,000 users worldwide, and we have more than a few million completions already recorded on the platform. We are indeed very low profile, but that said, right? I think we are doing more of such webinars to get more publicity. So please do share with your friends about us, right? And maybe we will create a game to get people to share about us to get more points. Now, Sally, right? I'm quite new. What are things to consider for gamification, and what are some of the pain points we can share with us? So maybe we can, Prabhim, we can leave this question to talk about towards the end of the call.
Yep.
Right, and that would be, actually, it's going to happen right now. I think we are certainly going to overrun. So whoever who has voted for overrun will get an additional 100 points.
Can I vote now?
Yes, please vote now before you.
Actually,
Yeah.
Actually, this is just to throw you guys off. We are gonna end sharply at 5 p.m. later. Okay. Okay, we can take on this question then. I think in my own personal opinion, right? You must definitely know what problem statement you're trying to solve. Probably I might have gone off the zone just now. Did we cover 5D? We did, right?
We did, but it was
Yeah,
very
we did.
quick. So I think we can certainly kind of talk a bit more in detail on this.
Yeah, but some of the pain points I can share with you is often we find that our audience or our clients find this really new, right? And of course, it is new. Gametize is probably the first and only gamification platform you know about. I can say that we are definitely one of the few ones that came up 10 years ago, right? And I would recommend you to always do a lot of testing, right? So by doing a lot of testing, right, you just have to get started. That's the first thing that troubles a lot of our audience. They do not even, they have so much fear in them that they wouldn't even want to do their own testing. So that's my first recommendation, right? You should just get started, do some testing with your colleagues. The second pain point that I see a lot is that is often a lot of our clients sometimes ask for a lot of different features, right? It's not a wrong thing, right? I see a lot of exciting ideas, a lot of new concepts, even from marketers, right? Now, the challenge in gamification is not to go overboard and really consider the bare essentials of what you really need. For example, right, do you really need a Candy Crush or Angry Birds for compliance training, right? You probably can just create very simple quizzes with very simple game mechanics that can be enabled with our platform. And the level of joy is very similar. I can share with you, right? The kind of dopamine rush can all be artificially given as well. All right, what's the most asked question among participants? I think pricing, right? I hope that answers the question. How much do we cost? Do we have a free plan? Yes, we do have a free plan, right? Have you done a game for game industry? Yeah. Sorry, health industry. So that has been done before. Actually, internally in Gametize, we are working on a hobby project for mental wellness. So that's one of the things that we are spending quite some time on, right? It's a hobby project. Chevron, right? Hey, Chevron. So typically, how long does it take to complete a project? We think, right, on average, if you want to create a very sizable amount of content, let's say, if your content has about 2 hours, right, 2 hours of learning content, then I would say be prepared to spend at least 2 weeks to work on those content and to firm it up, right? Otherwise, right, we have seen administrators creating games in just like 2 or 3 days. In fact, one of our clients right now is in this particular session, right? And they have to launch a project by 1st of June, and they literally only got started yesterday. So, and when she asked me whether it is possible by 1st of June, I think absolutely, right? It is possible. What do you think your platform is most effective for, right? It is effective for anything that can solve very challenging problems, right? Like, for example, compliance training is very mundane, right? So the more pain points there are in the platform, of course, there will be, that's where our platform is most effective in. If you want us to create a game, for example, to solve, or rather to increase an engagement for an event that's really very popular, or there's no real pain point over there, then obviously our platform may not do the job as well. Okay, so I think I covered quite the gist of the questions, right? For the rest of the questions, we will be answering via the comment box later on. So let me see whether there's anything that is more interesting. Do you have a sample for how organizations use Gametize? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, can I chip in here? I'm just mindful of time. Yeah, and I hope everybody can stay with us until the end. So for those who may not, maybe I will just key in the chat here to gather your feedback for today's session. But I hope everybody can stay with us until the end, and then see all the FAQs, and then maybe we will have something towards the end. I'm not sure. So yeah, so if not, if you have to leave at 5, no problem. You can just click on this link in the chat and just give us your feedback. Okay, sorry to chip in like that. Back to you, Keith.
No problem. So I wanted to answer this question, right? To recommend our audience to go to this particular website, shit.gametize.com, right? The reason why I'm sharing this particular link is that this one will allow you to see a lot of different demos over here. So we have the video demos, and we also have obviously a lot of demo games out there. The Space Runner game, right? It is a client project that does L&D, gamification L&D. It was actually a space storyline where you can travel through space, inspired by Interstellar. That's a storyline, and that's also one of my recommendations for our audience today, right? You don't really have to come up with new storylines. There's so many storylines out there. Just watch more Netflix and get more inspired, right? So I like to joke that I have to watch Netflix a lot because I have to do a lot of research for work, and it's true. So there's a lot of sample demos here, right? From HR declaration to code of conduct, right? We even have one for kids, right? This is a kids adventure game. It's actually a game created by my co-founder to keep his kids engaged during this whole COVID crisis, right? Getting them to do different challenges like do readings in order to get points so that they can use iPad. All right, so with that, I'll hand the mic over to Prafin to do the wrapping up. Over to you, Prafin.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen very quickly. Yep, I'm quite mindful of the timing too. So I'll just try to wrap up with a few of the essential points that we have today. So let me just share my screen first.
Keith, there was a very interesting question in the chat. Not sure whether you've seen it.
Yeah, that's a key question.
I'm focused right now to set the outcome for the prediction challenge. Actually,
okay.
Actually, Prafin, why don't you do that?
Because right. Okay, let me do that now, just before I do all of the wrap up. So I think we will end on time, but it depends on how long it takes for me to also do this. But right. Okay, so I'm going back to my prediction challenge, and okay, Keith has created the news challenge flash, and I'm going to set it as a. Okay, I've forgotten where I've put most of my.
So there's no chance to change the prediction.
No, that's why we have to stick to it.
Okay, so you cannot change the answer.
And then I set the outcome, and then I need to make sure I set the right one. I almost clicked the wrong one.
Yeah.
Now it won't. So save. Okay, so you can see now that it's expired. If I were to go back to my game, okay, I have so many tabs open now. If I were to go back to the game, I can actually see that you know, it's already expired. It's still visible in the platform, but no one else can set it anymore. So there is one very lonesome but brave person that actually said it wouldn't. So I can actually check in the analytics of who was the person that actually voted that. Let me just refresh first. Okay, and then, okay, so, sorry. Yeah, so you can see it depends on how long it takes for me to click around on a few things here. Today's session overrun, 21 players accepted. So accepted versus completed means how many people have clicked in to do it versus how many people have actually done it. Okay, so I can see the blown person, M. Marcus. Marcus is the one. Okay, so you can see that everyone else didn't get the extra 100 points. They only got the 10 points just for voting, and Marcus has gotten 60 points. So 10 plus 50, if I'm correct. Yeah. All right. So let me just wrap up with a few resources that I think that you'll find useful. So there's some image resources here. Don't worry, we will flash an email at the end where you can write in a request to us, and then we can share the slides with you. These are just some image websites that will find you find useful for when you're creating your game. You can just pull all the image assets here, quickly. Then lastly, I think that Yeah, if you'd like to grab the slide deck, or if you have any questions we didn't manage to answer, whether it's about our Gametize platform or about gamification in general, how to use it for your strategy, feel free to send an email our way at gametize.com, academy@gametize.com. Importantly as well, if you are new to this session and you didn't attend the last one, you can also request a recording of the previous session in the same email, because we're still editing that, but as soon as it's ready, we'll send it to you. But please make sure to write in to academy@gametize.com. If you don't, we won't know that from your request. So I highly encourage you to do that. All right, that's pretty much it from my side. Anything else to share, Keith, Jiling?
Yes. If you like what you have gone through today, please like us on Facebook, right? The incentive that we have for you is we do share coupon codes over there, right? So these coupon codes will allow you to get huge discounts. But I think one of the things that we like to do in Gametize is we like the idea of customer advocacy, right? So we think that is also a kind of game, right? So we cannot pay our customers to talk about us, but we can give you points that can result in you getting free consulting hours, even getting our t-shirts, right? So please do share about us. In fact, I'm going to create those challenge later on our platform, right? On the game that you have. Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, right? Or on Facebook, right? So my name is Keith Ng. I'm just going to type it out. And please do like us on, I'm going to share with you my profile link. Just give me a second. HTTPS, there you go. Okay. And Prapin, maybe you can share your LinkedIn profile as well. I'm also going to share the LinkedIn profile for Gametize. If I think there's a lot that adds up today, right? And that's the that happens to every training, right? And we shared that in the last session that only 30% of every workshop gets remembered and retained, and that's also one of the challenges that we want to solve in Gametize. How do we keep people continue to learn and get engaged, and not just remember 30%? But as with the last workshop, if there's only one thing that you need to remember, that is gamification equals happyification. It's all about creating a happy experience. It's all about creating good storylines, engaging narratives, and don't forget to keep testing. T-Link, do you have any last words?
I just want to very sincerely thank Keith and Prapim for generously sharing all your knowledge and showing us the platform and the demo. Thank you so much. And sharing all the freebies that you may give out to our audience here. Thank you very much for spending time with us. Okay, any last questions from anybody? Burning questions? Okay, if not, then yep. Could you spare 2 minutes?
I forgot to ask this. About the trial, right? So when we sign up, it's we are at the upgraded stage, right? This is the premium one. So all the let's say we do all the features, using the premium trial features. When it downgrades down to the free one, will all the extra features we did with the premium account, will it disappear? So for example, I think you said the free account you can only do one topic, right? So let's say I sign up and then it's a premium account for 1 week, then I create like 500 topics. Will the 500 topics disappear when it goes back to a free trial?
That's a very good question, Marcus. You should really try out our Bugs Bounty program at one point of time, right? All the bugs, you actually earn a lot of points for finding all the loopholes in our platform. And actually, right, it is possible to keep a lot of those features that you see once the plan has downgraded. You just are unable to make changes to them. And with regards to the topics, right, only the first topic can be published. Right, so you can see that end of the day, we are also a business entity, right? We do need to. There's some features that we cannot provide at a cost. However, right, I would also recommend you to write into us, right? So we do collaborate with a lot of partners, with a lot of trainers and L&D specialists. If you require more extension to your trial, or you will require a certain kind of like collaboration, right, to work on something together, right? Please feel free to write into us, right? academy@gametize.com. We will be very happy to see how we can support.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you so much, Prapim, and Teeling as well. I think we have our third session.
Thank you. Yeah, very good session. Thank you, Keith and Prapim. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate that you took 2 hours out of your day today to attend. So we're very happy as well from the Gametize team to learn that.
Yes, let's look forward to a live event, maybe in phase 3 onwards, in lab, maybe.
Yeah,
So
hopefully in phase 3. Yep.
So I think
okay, stay safe, everybody.
Yes. There's sorry, maybe one more thing as well is the next session in 2 weeks' time. I think that Dealing will be also helping to co-host with us. It's going to be more case study based. We're going to talk more about, how we've worked with clients, case studies, etc. And also take the time to perhaps show more features of the Gametize platform. If there's anybody here that's interested to learn more about the Gametize platform in 2 weeks' time.
I think Marcus have one last question. What games do we play? I play the Rubik's Cube. That's what I play. Okay.
Me, I play, well, now that it's Circuit Breaker, I've played a lot of games. So one I'm playing right now is Civilization 6.
Oh, that's a good game.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right, so we are going to play our own games right now, right? Happy designing the games. And please do share your games with us. We'll be happy to give any updates, any advice, and maybe some tips how you can improve your gamification design. All right, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Yep.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Keith.
Keith and
Thanks,
Prapim.
Prapim.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll end the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us.